Morning, guys. Welcome to the current affairs class. We will be discussing all of the important topics that are necessary for UPSC, be it prelims or be it means. We'll be discussing all of the aspects. And today we'll be discussing 2nd July's paper. Right? 2nd July. Firstly, we'll have to scroll down so that we can arrive at the particular article that we are going to discuss. First one we are going to discuss is Mission 100 K100. Mission K100 to address food procurement or food grain procurement is the first article that we're going to discuss. So basically what happened is there was a delay in procurement of paddy. There was a delay in procurement of paddy. As there was a high amount of delay in procurement of paddy, the government wanted to do is it wanted to speed up the process. Just imagine there's a lot of paddy that is there. So in order to get the or store the next amount of paddy that is going to come in the next season, we have to clear the area that is there now. So in order to clear that area, the Civil Supplies Department had come up with this particular mission called Mission K100. Right. Basically, in Mission K100, what happens is that there is a high amount of paddy piling. Right. There's a high amount of paddy piling up. Whenever there's high amount of paddy piling up, what happens? There is delayed payments. Right. Delayed payments are there. Paddy is piling up. Delayed payments are there. As there is delayed payments, why is there delayed payments? Why is there paddy piling up? There is shortage of space. Shortage of space. As there is very less space, there is very less space for the incoming procurement. As there is less space for incoming procurement, the government or the civil supplies department is stopping the procurement. As it is stopping the procurement, what is happening? The farmer is holding all of the paddy. As it is holding, as the farmer is holding all of the paddy, what is happening? There is delayed payment. That is the main aspect of this particular thing. So that is the reason why it came with the mission K100. Now, what happens in mission K100? Firstly, they'll clear the existing paddy. What they'll do? They'll clear the existing paddy. How will they do it? They clear the existing paddy by milling it. Once you mill the rice, then it will be in a position to be sold. Only when it is milled, then it can be sold. So first, what they'll do is they'll clear the existing paddy by milling the rice. The second thing that they'll do is uh, improve the procurement. Improve the procurement. Right? Improving the procurement will again ensure that all the paddy that is there, it is procured on time. Right? That is the second aspect that is there. And third aspect is that they want to fix it everything before the next harvest season. Next harvest season. Basically, this is uh, Rabi. Right? This is Rabi. Rabi has happened, then Kharif. Right? So that is the thing that is there in the mission K100, right? And in this, they have said that there is 5 pillars. They'll complete this particular mission in 5 pillars. Now, what are the 5 pillars? The first pillar is nothing but milling and delivery. Milling and delivery. Milling and delivery is the first aspect, and then second is that you auction, right? You auction the excess paddy. Auctioning the excess paddy is the second pillar, and the third pillar is that recovering all the pending funds. Right? You recover all the pending funds, meaning that there is subsidies that is given by the government, then there is incidental costs that is given by the government. So recovering all of the funds that are given by the government, and the fourth aspect is modernizing the procurement process. Right? Obviously, whenever these kind of things are present, you have to modernize it. What is modernizing? Modernizing is nothing but uh, automation. Modernizing is nothing but automation. Instead of manual labors, they'll add a machine so that machine can procure everything. That is modernization of procurement process. And the last or fifth pillar is nothing but where you improve the transport. improve the transportation. So these are the 5 pillars that are under mission 100, mission K100. The first thing is milling and delivery, meaning that all the rice that is there, all the paddies that is there, it will be milled and processed. Okay, that is the first. Second one is what you call uh, accelerating the sorry, what is it? It is auctioning, right? Sorry, I forgot what I wrote here. It's auctioning the excess paddy. After auctioning the excess paddy, then you will recover the costs that are the incidental costs and the subsidies that are there. Then you modernize the milling process, and lastly, you improve the transportation. Now, these are the 5 pillars of Mission K100. Now, the reason we need to understand is, why is there a delay? Why is there a delay? The reason we need to understand why there is a delay is because, let's say, procurement process, this procurement process has piled up, and there is high amount of paddy that is there. This is a one time thing. Maybe it could be a one time thing. What if this is a recurring thing? What if this happens constantly? Then farmers will be at loss, the government will be at loss, the state will be at loss. So we need to understand why there is a delay, to understand whether this problem is recurring or a one time thing. If it is a one time thing, it's okay. But if it is recurring, or if it has signs of recurring situations, then we need to think of it in a different way. Now, what are the reasons why there is a delay? The reasons there is a delay is because the old paddy that is there, old paddy that is there, that has not yet been procured, right? The old paddy that is there, it has not yet been procured. And the reason why it is because the rice mills are slowly, procuring slowly. Now, why are the rice mills procuring slowly? Because the storages are full. Storages are full. As the warehouse or storages are full, it is very hard. Then the next one, now why are the storages full? The storages are full because this transportation is not good. This transportation delay, right? That is another thing. And why is there a transportation delay? Because there is delay of vehicles. Obviously, you see that this is a chain reaction. One is that old paddy is not procured yet. Why is it not procured? Because rice procurement is slowly. Why is the rice procurement slowly? Because there is less storage space. Now, why is there less storage space? Because the transportation is delayed. Now, why is the transport delayed? Because there is less vehicles. If you actually see this particular issue that is there, it is not a one-time thing, because it is structural in nature. There is lack of warehouses, there is lack of workers, there is lack of vehicles. As there is lack of these three things, this situation might recur again. So, what is the main thing that we need to do? The main thing that the government has to do is, firstly, increase the storage space. Secondly, increase the amount of vehicles so that transportation can be smooth. These are the things that the government has to do. Whenever any issue arises, it points towards an issue. I mean, points towards a problem. We have to look whether that problem is recurring or a one time thing. Whenever it is recurring, it is harmful for the economy. Okay, so that is all about this particular article. Right, moving on. The case for building India's coal chemistry capability. This editorial is saying that India has done well, right? It has done well in the Strait of Hormuz crisis that happened in 2026. Basically, as there was the war that happened in 2026 between Israel, USA, and Iran, what happened? Iran started to close the Strait of Hormuz. As it started to close the Strait of Hormuz, India was severely affected, because 90% of the crude oil imports that India has comes from, majority of it comes from Strait of Hormuz. As it is coming from Strait of Hormuz, and as it was blocked, India had to do something. And during that time, India was very resilient. India had much more amount of technology than any of the world can think of. Right? This editor is saying that India had its strengths, but it also has some weaknesses. and that particular Strait of Hormuz crisis has pointed it out. Okay, now let us discuss about this particular editorial. Okay, basically during the Strait of Hormuz crisis, India handled the disruption very well. Right, disruption that was there during the Strait of Hormuz crisis in 2026, India handled it very well. Right, and why did it handle very well? The reason it handled very well is because it could diversify crude oil imports. India could diversify crude oil imports. As it could diversify crude oil imports, it could also diversify the LPG imports. That is what they thought. But what they need to understand is that LPG imports only comes from certain economies, right? Certain economies that are actually near the Strait of Hormuz. So that is the drawback that it pointed out. It said that while you are diversifying the crude oil, you're trying to diversify the crude oil, you're trying to diversify everything, but you could not address the LPG because LPG only comes from few areas that are actually near the Strait of Hormuz. So the West Asian instability, right? The West Asian instability is highly affecting India in terms of LPG, not in terms of crude oil, because during that time, India had procured crude oil from America, then Russia, then West Africa, right? Atlantic Basin. From all of these regions, India has procured crude oil. So India's after procuring India's crude oil, what the author is saying is that India's crude oil refineries, are highly advanced. The author is saying that India's crude oil refineries are highly advanced because they are adjusted for different types of crude oil, different amount of sulfur content, different amount of viscosity. No matter how thick that particular oil is, no matter how much sulfur content that particular oil has, India's technology is such so high and the experts are so high that they can manage it. Right. So all the crude oil that is coming from America, West Africa, Russia, Atlantic Basin, India was able to adapt to it. As India was able to adapt to it, it was very easy for it to transition from that crude oil and maintain that quality. While it was trying to maintain that quality, while it was trying to do everything, it was not able to do the same for LPG. The reason it was not able to do the same for LPG is because it did not have the capabilities. Right? That is why the author is suggesting we have a strength. The strength is that we are able to adapt to things. We are able to diversify our crude oil needs. We are able to procure crude oil from many other countries, and we are able to refine it to according to our needs with highest amount of quality. We have that particular strength, but we do not have the strength to convert the LPG because LPG comes from only some countries, and converting LPG technology we do not have that much. So we need something. We need to do something else. That is what the author is saying, and that something else is nothing but DME. DME is nothing but dimethyl ether, right? Dimethyl ether is what you call a gas. Dimethyl ether is a gas that is actually procured from coal, right? First, there is coal. This coal undergoes coal gasification. After this coal gas goes onto coal gasification, this coal gasification goes on to synthetic gas. Then it turns into DME, dimethyl ether. Dimethyl ether is a clean burning fuel. Okay, dimethyl ether is a clean burning fuel. Now the author is saying that we can use this particular dimethyl ether, so that we can address the LPG issue that we have. Let's say there is 100% of LPG, right? There is 100% of LPG that we are importing. If we replace 20% of that LPG with dimethyl ether, we have high amount of advantage because it is a clean burning fuel. Because it is a clean burning fuel, will not have much problem, right? Will not have much problem because it is a clean burning fuel. Second thing is that it can be easily made because we have high amount of coal, and what do you call, that coal can be gasified because we have the technology. As we have the technology, we can convert it into syngas, and then we can get the dimethyl ether. Okay. Now the author is saying that out of the 100% LPG, if we mix 20% with dimethyl ether, then we can what do you call uh, save a lot of money, right? Nearly 6.3 million ton 6.3 million tons of LPG we can reduce, meaning that this 20% is nothing but 6.3 million tons of LPG. So if we can reduce the imports by 6.3 million ton, that means we can save nearly 34,000 crores in forex reserves, right? If we are able to produce dimethyl ether and mix it with LPG, we can reduce it by 20%. That 20% is nothing but 6.3 million tons of LPG that we are not importing. So if we are not importing 6.3 million tons of LPG, then we are saving nearly 34,000 crores of forex reserves, which can be invested in funds, which can be invested in capital expenditure. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. We can actually put it there and we can actually gain interest. We do a lot of things. That is what the author is saying. The author is saying that we have to look at dimethyl ether rather than focusing on only on the countries that are actually giving us. This is nothing but adapting. We have to adapt to our situation. We have to understand our situation, why we are in that situation. Only when you understand a particular ideology or a particular issue, that's when you will be able to tackle it. So we are, when this particular state of Hormuz crisis has happened, some issues or the gaps that were there were visible to us. And what is that gap do we have? The gap we have is that we do not have something to replace LPG. We have enough technology and enough expertise to convert any crude oil into a high quality refined oil, refined petroleum gas or something. But we do not have the technology or we do not have the particular ideology to replace LPG. So that is why the author is saying we'll create dimethyl ether and we'll mix it with LPG so that we can reduce the imports and increase our forex. Okay. Now, obviously, whenever there is a particular solution, there is also a particular drawback. What is the problem with dimethyl ether? The problem with dimethyl ether is the coal. Indian coal has high ash content. Indian coal has high ash content, so we might not be able to what do you call procure that much. Okay. Then the other thing that is diversification has limits. Obviously we have to look at other things as well. Only when we look at other things, then we'll be able to actually benefit more, right? Only then we'll be able to benefit more. And the coal gasification technology, right? We have coal gasification technology, but it needs to be improved. The first thing is that Indian coal has high amount of ash content. Then the coal that is there, coal gasification that is there, that coal gasification needs more improvement. As there is more improvement, there is, what do we have? More investment in industries. These are the three main challenges that are present in this particular editorial, right? And I was actually thinking of one question, right? We can actually write a question for this. I would suggest everyone who's watching to write questions whenever possible, right? Take the editorial. If you're reading the editorial, try to write an answer. Try to write an answer based on a question, right? For this particular editorial, I have a question. Let's see. The question is, why why did the Strait of Hormuz, why did the Strait of Hormuz crisis highlight both strengths and vulnerabilities of India's energy security strategy. Right? Maybe how. Instead of writing why, you actually write how. How did the Strait of Hormuz crisis highlight both strengths and vulnerabilities of India's energy security? You can write it as a 10 marker, but because obviously, whenever you're starting writing answers, right, you start writing from the base. You start writing with the 10 markers. Do not directly go to the 15 marker. If that particular editorial has content of worthy of 15 marker, then you can write. And this particular editorial has content till 15 marker. You can write a 15 marker, but I would suggest every beginner to write it as a 10 marker so that only 2 pages are there. Okay. So firstly you'll be writing how did the Strait of Hormuz crisis highlight both strengths and vulnerabilities. Firstly, what we will be writing is, firstly you'll say the recent Strait of Hormuz crisis that happened in 2026 due to the wars that have been due to the West Asian conflict have what do you call affected India multifold. However, they have also uh, made the strengths and vulnerabilities visible to India. So that is what you will be writing in the introduction, right? Basically, you will be addressing what the particular statements are. The question is saying that there is a state of Hormuz crisis, and it has what it has highlighted strengths and vulnerabilities of India. So that is what you would be addressing in the introduction. So you'd be writing how state of Hormuz crisis that happened in 2026, uh, what do you call, due to the West Asian crisis or the West Asian instability had affected India, which highlighted both strengths and vulnerabilities of India's energy security. That is what you'll be writing in the introduction. Then you will go on to writing the strengths. What would you be writing in the strengths? Strengths you'd be writing how, despite the West Asian crisis, India had the amount of technology to convert any crude oil with the density, with any density, with any amount of sulfur content, and with any amount of viscosity into high quality content. High quality content, you would be writing also about how much technological progress we have and the amount of expertise that we have in production of crude oil and how much diversification we have in procurement of crude oil, right? Diversification, then you'll be talking about technology, and then you'll be talking about expertise. These are the three things that you'll put in expertise. I mean, sorry, strengths. Then you'll go on to the vulnerabilities, right? Vulnerabilities, you will be including how LPG crisis is there, and there's no diversification in LPG. There's no technology for LPG, and there's no expertise for LPG. These are the vulnerabilities that were pointed out in this particular article. Then you would be writing way forward. Way forward or dimethyl ether as a solution. You'd be writing about dimethyl ether, which is produced from coal, DME, which is produced from coal, and which needs syngas, and that is converted into dimethyl ether, which can actually reduce the imports by nearly 6.3 ton million ton exports of LPG, and can nearly save 34,000 crores of forex. Right? This is what you'd be writing for a 10 marker answer. But if you're writing a 15 marker answer, you'll be adding more dimensions. What are the other dimensions that you're going to add? The other dimensions that you're going to add is challenges. Challenges for DME, and then you'll be writing about way forward. Way forward. Challenges for DME, India has high ash content. Coal gasification technology is low. Then you'd be writing about how there is more investment, industrial investment needed. Or you can actually take from some stat where the amount of investment that is happening in industries is very low, Okay, then you'd be writing a way forward, and that way forward is nothing but a solution to all of these challenges, right? We can procure more amount of coal from other countries. Instead of actually procuring crude oil, we'll procure coal from other countries, which has high amount of quality coal, right? Procuring quality coal from other countries. Then technology transfer, because there are many other countries like Australia, then West Africa. All of these countries are there which are actually high in coal, and there is high amount of coal gasification happening. So you can actually uh, ensure there is technology transfer from all of these countries. And then lastly, you will have more R&D, more research and development, and investment of more GDP into industries. Okay, these are the things that you'd be writing in way forward. These will be the extra dimensions that you'd be writing in 15 marker answer. Then you'll go to the conclusion. What would you be writing in the conclusion? Yeah, try to think of a conclusion, right? Try to think of a conclusion and comment in the comment box, because many people think that it is only the body that the examiners will look at, but it's not the body. It is also the introduction and the conclusion. Introduction is like a preface. Whenever you're writing an introduction, the examiner will see whether that person is addressing all of the dimensions that are there in the introduction. That is why if you actually see, I've talked about state of hormones crisis, then I also talked about how it has vulnerabilities and strengths. So I have mentioned all of the dimensions in the introduction. Then in the conclusion, you'd be writing something positive. While India has its drawbacks, in energy security, India is resilient enough. India is resilient enough to uh, change its technology and adapt to the situations that have been coming towards its way, thereby making India a strong arm, or India as a strong part in energy security. This is something that I thought of just now. This answer, I created all of this answer just now, right? So this is the kind of conclusion that I would have written, right? Or I would have thought it a little better. As this is 10 market, it should nearly take you 7 to 8 minutes to write this particular answer. Okay, try to write this answer, try it by yourself, so that you'll understand how answer writing is, because you do not win a battle after going to the battle, you win the battle before the battle. Okay, so if you want to win the battle before, you have to start writing answers right now. So I would suggest everyone to write answers every day using editorials, right? Even I'll be including answers, all the answers or all the questions from the editorial, so that you will also understand how to write an answer and how to look at a particular editorial so that you can write an answer. Okay, so that is all for the current affairs class today. Thank you guys. See you in the next class.